The Bamboo Project Podcast starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast. My name is Donovan Gray, the future $10 billion man. On the way to 10 billion, I decided I'm going to help create 1,000 millionaires, including myself. And not by being a guru or selling a course, but by doing the things I already love to do every day and documenting the journey to get there. I figure I'll make all the mistakes so you don't have to. My name is Donovan Gray, and this is how I will turn my life into a living. I like to start off by giving a shout out to all the people rocking with us and supporting the channel. We really appreciate you. We are currently streaming on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. You name it, we on it. And if we not on it, we about to be on it. For everyone listening to this podcast and not watching it, you can find us on YouTube at The Bamboo Project. We have over 400 videos on our channel. You want to learn real estate? We got that. You want cooking tutorials inspired by Dr.Sebi? We got that. Travel and lifestyle vlogs? Got it. You want makeup and hair growth tutorials? Got it. Basketball? Got it. Turo? Got it. It's everything us. All the parts of the journey that don't make it to YouTube will probably be on our story. You can find me on Instagram at Donovan Gray, DONIVANGRAY, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Anita Byrne, ANETABURN. The Bamboo Project is about turning your life into a living by making money off the things you already do every day. We made different playlists for all the things we are into, and you can find all of those links in the description box below. This may be your first time here, and if it is, welcome to the family. But for everyone else, this is chapter 3, page 108. This podcast has 4 different segments. We have the life update, episode playback, Donovan's questions, and the topic of the day. All video and audio timestamps will be in the description box below. Today's date is April 12th, and it is 11:38 a.m. All right. So before we get into what just transpired this morning, which was ridiculous, we're going to start off with Screentime. And for those who are new, y'all may not know, but Screentime is what I like to do, myself and my girlfriend included, because if we don't take advantage of our phone, then our phone will take advantage of us. So to avoid that and becoming a billionaire, we like to check our screen time. All right. So right now, for last week, my average screen time was 8 hours and 41 minutes, which is up from the week before, which is 7 hours and 59 minutes. So it went up by about an hour. Personally, let's see what the differences were. I spent 18 hours and 40 minutes that first week on YouTube, and then the following week I spent 22 hours and 6 minutes. And this week I'm currently only at 5. My average for the week is 5 hours and 10 minutes this week so far, which is pretty good. That's pretty good. Sunday was 6 hours and 11 minutes. Yesterday was 5.5 hours, and today so far at 11:40 it's been 3 hours and 48 minutes. My most used app this week has been YouTube, which is no surprise, Uno, and then YouTube Studio. 22 hours last week on YouTube and 5 hours on Uno. That's a 17-hour difference between my most used app and my next used app. And I actually want to talk about something related to that later. The most amount of pickups I had last week was 140, which was Friday. My average times I picked up my phone every single day was 102 times a day, which is insane. And my first used app after pickup was YouTube for 248 times out of my 712 times, which is damn near a third, if not more. It's up damn near half. Okay. So, beautiful, phenomenal, amazing girlfriend, what is your screen time for last week?
So, my average for last week was 8 hours.
Pretty high,
right.
Most.
But
what you doing there?
So, okay, my total screen time is 55 hours. Let's call it 56 hours, because 55 hours and 57 minutes. So let's call it 56 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 56 hours, 23, which is about half, was Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I shouldn't count that. Like I should count
Oh Lord.
Because I'm driving.
Oh man.
I don't think I should count that.
I guess.
So on average, I'm really on my phone for 4 hours and 71.
Now, what's your music?
Music?
Because you drive with music, so that should be about 20 hours. Or however many hours your
it's funny,
Google Maps
music
is.
was 5 hours, but the thing is, like, I don't always drive with music.
I don't believe that.
Sometimes I be on the phone, or like if my mom's in the car, I'm not playing. Right. So that's that. So yeah, Google Maps is 23 hours, and then after that is Instagram for 10 hours, and that's not even like 2 hours a day.
So, as I have taught myself in the past, it is best to talk about the things that will give me the most energy, which is what just happened this morning. Probably because it's fresh, also because it was very energy charged for sure. So last week we talked about possibly raising, or not possibly, but trying to raise money to finish the house. We need to raise $30,000. So we've been calling friends and family and trying to see who can help us out. Right. So in doing that, we also have to obviously know how much work needs to be done and what's left. So I needed an update from my contractor because I tried to call him on like Saturday or Friday and he didn't get back to me. So I'm like, okay, his phone, I didn't get a voicemail. No, excuse me. I didn't get an answer. I only got a voicemail. I texted him this morning because I didn't get a response back. So this morning I texted him and I said, when are the bathrooms going to be tiled? The reason why I want the bathrooms tiled for people who don't either own property or who are new to the podcast or may not know this, we're doing something called draws from a lender, which means that the lender will give us money based off what is done in the house. So if things are not done in the house, or if something else is done in the house that we don't have on our spreadsheet for the lender, they don't give us money for that. So an example would be the flooring, which was done recently, which I'll add pictures to here. Even though that's done, we don't get reimbursed for that. So the contractor does not really get money for doing that necessarily. So that can cause a kind of a problem because we're kind of coming out of our own pocket for it. We don't have the money. We're trying to use the lender's money, but they won't give us money because that is not on the line items for the draw. So the bathroom tiles are. So I said, okay, let me find out when that is because that's a pretty high amount that we get for that. So close to $3,000. He said tomorrow. He said, did you send a check in the same message? I said, no, I'm waiting for the bathroom to be tiled. What's being done today? He said, are you serious? I'm like, am I serious about what? He said, it's been a month since you sent any money. I'm canceling. I'm like, what? What do you mean you canceling them? So now I'm sitting in the bed and I can only describe how I feel as being red. Okay. My stomach feels red, feels hot. I'm angry, but when I get angry, I usually do nothing. I usually just kind of try to calm myself down. I just sit really still. And I go, okay, let's try and process what is happening. What are all different angles? Why is this happening? How do I respond? What does it mean going forward? How do I avoid this in the future? Why did this happen in the first place? These are all the things that my brain is trying to process, right? While also still being very red. So now I'm just sitting there, Melissa, like, what's wrong? So I show her the phone. She's like, what? What does he mean he's canceling? What does he mean he's canceling them? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what he means he's canceling them. I have no idea what's happening right now. And I don't know why he would send this to me. I am so confused, right? I'm laying in bed. I'm just like, I don't even know what's happening. So now I'm like, okay, how do I respond? What do I say? How do I go about this? So recently I read a book. The last book I read was called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And it's about negotiating, right? So I said, okay, this will be a time that I would have to negotiate, and it's good for me to pick up these skills, or at least try to use the skills. You can't just learn something without using it. So I go, okay, in situations like this, what kind of things do they say you should do? Okay. Some of the things they have in the book are called labeling, and the other one would be more like just asking questions. And the book is based around what they call tactical empathy. Most people, or I believe that most people believe that negotiating comes down to like, I need to like be stronger than the other person. I have to like outsmart them and have to win, like I have to win situations, right? That's kind of people see on TV and movies, whatever. Tactical empathy is more so like, okay, me and you are on the same team, and whatever we're negotiating about is the problem. So how can we solve this problem? So you want to sell this house. Okay, let's try and figure out how can we sell this house? How can I buy this house from you and we both get, honestly, that's even not what he says, but pretty much I'm laughing because I was going to say they both get what they want in the situation, but the name of the book is called Never Split the Difference. The reason why it's called that is because he was a hostage negotiator. So his mindset is I can never split the difference with the person I'm negotiating with. I can't say, okay, give me one hostage and you could kill the other one. Like, there is no option for that. It's I need all the hostages and I need you to go to jail. Like, there's no, all right, let's haggle and bargain and how about and give me one leg and I can keep the other. Like, there is no splitting the difference. And I think according to him, most people approach negotiations like, okay, let's have a win-win situation here. But you also don't want to have a situation where it's lopsided and the other person feels like they lost, because that could also then breed contempt, which then either one, people don't want to work with you again if it's a business relationship, or they might, want to kill people if they're a hostage negotiator. That's always an option for that. So I'm thinking, okay, how do I apply this to this situation? I'm like, okay, I need to ask questions. Because asking questions kind of helps me to remain neutral. So I'm just kind of in the bed thinking, what would I even ask right now? What questions could I possibly ask to diffuse the situation? Because I know if I call him right now, my brain is only going to go to accusatory and like attack, aggression. That's what my brain's going to go to. Like, yo, what do you mean you can't say? Why? What's wrong with you? Like, what? Nah, like it will go to that. And when that happens, people become defensive, and more often than not, people will then match your aggression with aggression, and then the problem never really gets solved. So unless I have some type of supreme leverage where I can, not necessarily fire him, but like make him lose business somewhere else, maybe his kids can go to school, like something like that, where I'm almost dominating him, then that would be a situation where aggression towards aggression is somewhat applicable, but again, it still breeds contempt by the other person, because now let's say that I win, right? I go, okay, I out yelled him, I out argued him, I out screamed him, and now he's there working. So now when I come to the property, how's that going to look? How's the interaction going to be? When we go to our next, if we do another deal together, how is that going to be? Is he going to do the work properly now? Is he going to do the work at all? Is he going to drag it out because he feels annoyed? He wants to be passive aggressive and feel like he won somewhere else? Because I may feel like, okay, I won this conversation, but he's my contractor. If he's being passive aggressive, he's like, you know what? Yeah, don't worry about that little hole there. They won't even see it. Oh, that little thing, the pyramids, who needs those? And now I'm the one getting fucked later, right? So this is what's going through my mind. So I go, okay, I'm going to take a shower. I'm gonna just think about this. I'm gonna let the red go away, let it drain out. This is a mindset for me, how I approach these kind of situations in terms of like my intrinsically. I look at being angry as a vial of liquid, right? Whatever liquid you want to be. Let's just say it's a red liquid, and I have to let it drain out of my body. Wherever that goes, that's how I envision it. So I come out the bathroom. I'm like, okay, right, I'm good. I'm gonna call him. So I call him. I think I called him before the bathroom. He didn't answer. So I come out the bathroom. I'm waiting. I didn't get a call. I'm still kind of like on edge, but I feel better. So right before the podcast starts, he calls me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to call him back. Right? I gotta get myself in a proper mind state. So I call him back. Yeah, I can't say it was too far from what I'm experiencing. And here's why. Everything a majority of things that I know and have learned comes from dealing with women and running game on women for like, there was a couple of years I was like really heavy into the art of pickup and learning about women and just different things like that, right? So one of the things I've learned from that was the majority of times that I think that I'm going to get into an argument with a woman usually never happen. So in the art of pickup, what they'll say is you shouldn't really text women, right? It should be a phone call with them. And the reason being is because they need to be able to hear your voice when they're talking to you, because it's very likely that they may get crazy over text and say some wild things because they can't hear your voice. They can't hear the nuances. So it's best to call them, right? Now, it could be a very contentious situation. A girl may be acting crazy or acting up, right? Being very rude and aggressive over text or just talking crazy. And I'm like, okay, now I got to call her and address this. And she's going to be mad. I'm talking to another girl. She might be mad about another example of this. And then I'm going to go on with the story. Back then, during this time,
when he was a slut,
the Melissa calls that I was learning myself.
A harlot.
If I had scheduled a date with a girl and the date was for 5:00, if she was 10 minutes late and did not inform me she was going to be 10 minutes late, I would just leave, right? And I wouldn't say anything. I would just leave. So then you have to imagine that a phone call from a girl who traveled from somewhere to come meet you and doesn't see you there, she got dressed up, changed her day or whatever her plans for that day to come meet you, she might be more upset if she comes and you're not there, right? So again, I'm thinking it's going to be another aggressive conversation. Normally what I would say is, I told you to be here at 5:00. It's 5:15. You didn't give me a warning you was going to be late. You knew from when you left your house you were going to be late. When you was on a train, you could have told me you were going to be late and you didn't say anything. So the next time that we go hang out, be there at 5:00. That's what I would say, right? Now, again, I would think that, who the fuck do you think you are? How you gonna leave? I came all the way down here to meet you and you're not here. That's what in my mind I think is gonna happen. Never happens. Never happens. And also telling the girl, this is one of my lines, is I'm not doing this anymore. Another line I'd always thought that a girl I've been talking to for a while, having sex with, doing this and the third, she'll be upset about, not upset. These are anecdotes of why I'm not too surprised about the conversation with my contractor. So we get on the phone and I say, hey, I go, what's going on? Immediately he starts talking. He's like, listen, man, I'm going through a lot. I had a lot of projects that are happening. Everything is backed up right now. And I shouldn't have sent that text message to you. I saw it. I was like, I was just feeling a lot of, he didn't say this emotion, but he was just going through a lot of things. And he said he just sent that message to me. Right. And he just kept kind of talking. I wasn't really saying anything. I was just listening to him. And we probably talked for about 15 minutes. I probably maybe said 7 lines, maybe 10 for 15 minutes. And the rest of it was just him speaking to me about what's going on. Every now and again, I would ask a question and then also try and see where I could help out to make the situation better. But I think if I had called earlier, then I might have been upset. He might have still been upset. It might have made the situation worse. I might not be good for the rest of the day in terms of what may have come from that conversation. And it just let me go. It let me realize, like, okay, every time something happens, it's not always a personal attack. People are going through things. That is, I will say, a hard lesson for me, because I don't know if I would say I take things personally. Maybe I would. Maybe I'd take it. Do I take it personally?
I think it's just a weird thing, because even though you're going through something, it doesn't excuse what you do. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's why it's a hard thing to do with, because it's like, why would you ever text me and say that you're not going? They gonna cancel. Right.
So this is what I would say. I agree, and I think for me, I am definitely offended emotionally. Personally, I'm offended, and this is based off of the book I've been reading. Again, why I say this, I understand why he did what he did. However, I'm still personally offended. And the reason I say that is because I separate what I think and how I feel. How I feel is my immediate reaction to it. My immediate reaction is, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? That's my immediate reaction. That's what I feel. And when I think about it, that's the part where I go, okay, people go through things. I get upset about situations. I may say something I may not want to say when I'm upset about something. He may be going through a lot. The supply chain is fucked up because of COVID. A lot of things are happening, and I understand why he may do that. However, that does not change how I feel about what was being done. They're two different things, and something I've learned from reading the book. Now, something else in the book that I will explain after I give Melissa a word here is what did you feel? What did you want to do that you told me before the podcast when you said that you would have responded?
Me personally, that's something that I think that you do very well, that I wouldn't have waited. I don't think so. I wouldn't have waited. I feel like I would have just been like, I would have sold my phone, would have read it, my eyes would have went big, and I would have been like, okay, tap, 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 tap. Just immediately respond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, something that I read in the book, which has been sticking with me a lot, I think it resonates with me, and it lets me to see people through different lenses. So, the book characterizes people in 3 different categories, okay? The 3 different categories are accommodator, assertive, and analyst. Right. And obviously they each have different character traits, and then how you will approach each person should be dependent on where they fit into that category. My primary archetype based off of these 3 categories would be accommodator first, and then I would say second I'm an analyst, and then a third would be aggressive. Right. Now, when I think about Melissa, I think that she is an aggressive first, is her primary archetype, and then I think her second archetype is a accommodator, and her third would be an analyst, right?
I thought you had it the other way around. I thought you said I was an accommodator first and aggressive.
No, I think you're an aggressive first, but your anxiety makes you an accommodator. Mm-hmm. I think your natural instinct is to be aggressive, but it's like the anxiety overshadows that. That's what I think. Right. I think in your most comfortable habitat, you are being.
What's that?
Right. That's right. Right. Exactly. So now I'm gonna read some of the things from there, and then you can kind of see where you fit in and how you may be able to help yourself or help other people, right? Or talk to other people. So analysts are methodical and diligent. They are not in a big rush. Actually, I'm going to read my accommodator first. That's what my main trait is. The most important thing to this type of negotiator is the time spent building the relationship. Accommodators think as long as there is a free-flowing continuous exchange of information, time is being well spent. As long as they're communicating, they're happy. Their goal is to be on great terms with their counterpart. They love the win-win. Of the 3 types, they are most likely to build great rapport without actually accomplishing anything. Donovan. Accommodators want to remain friends with their counterpart even if they can't reach an agreement. They are very easy to talk to, extremely friendly, and have pleasant voices. I mean, y'all hear me talking right now, right? They will yield a concession to appease or acquiesce and hope the other side reciprocates, which is what I do all the time, especially in real estate. If your counterparts are sociable, peace-seeking, optimistic, distractible, and poor time managers, they're probably accommodators. Remember, me, not great time manager. Always late, but that's I'm late enough. I'm like late grace period late a lot, I would say. If they are your counterpart, be sociable and friendly. Listen to them talk about their ideas and use calibrated questions focused specifically on implementation to nudge them along and find ways to translate their talk into action. So now, if you are an accommodator, if that felt like that sounds like you, if you have identified yourself as an accommodator, stick to your ability to be very likable, but do not sacrifice your objections. Not only do the other 2 types need to hear your point of view, if you are dealing with another accommodator, they will welcome it. Also be conscious of excessive chit chat, which is obviously one of my superhero powers. The other 2 types have no use for it. And if you're sitting across the table from someone like yourself, you'll be prone to interactions where nothing gets done. Okay, that's accommodator. Now I'm gonna go with my second, which is analyst. All right. Analysts are methodical and diligent. They are not in a big rush. Instead, they believe as long as they are working towards the best result in a thorough and systematic way, time is of little consequence. Their self-image is linked to minimizing mistakes. Their motto, as much time as it takes to get it right. Classic analysts prefer to work on their own and rarely deviate from their goals. Analysts will pride themselves on not missing any details in their extensive preparation. They will research for 2 weeks to get data they might have gotten in 15 minutes at the negotiating table, just to keep from being surprised. Analysts hate surprises.
You feel like that's Nappy?
Huh?
You feel like Nappy's an analyst?
No, I think she's an assertive and then an analyst. Let's see. They will give you a piece, but if they don't get a piece in return within a certain period of time, they lose trust and will disengage. This can often seem to come out of nowhere, but remember, since they like working on things alone, the fact that they are talking to you at all, from their perspective, a concession. They will often view concessions by the counterpart as a new piece of information to be taken back and evaluated. Don't expect immediate counterproposals from them. Okay? People like this are skeptical by nature. So asking too many questions to start is a bad idea because they are not going to want to answer until they understand all the implications. And then the last one is the assertive. And the assertive says, the assertive type believes time is money. Every wasted minute is a wasted dollar. Their self-image is linked to how many things they can get accomplished in a period of time. For them, getting the solution perfect isn't as important as getting it done. Assertives are fiery people who love winning above all else, often at the expense of others. Their colleagues and counterparts never question where they stand because they are always direct and candid. They have an aggressive communicative style and they don't worry about future interactions. Their view of business relationships is based on respect. Nothing more, nothing less. Most of all, the assertive wants to be heard. And not only do they want to be heard, but they don't actually have the ability to listen to you until they know that you've heard them. They focus on their own goals rather than people, and they tell rather than ask. Okay. I want to read. Let me see. If you're an analyst, what does it say to do? If you're an analyst, you should be worried about cutting yourself off from an essential source of data, your counterpart. The single biggest thing you can do is to smile when you speak. People will be more forthcoming with information to you as a result. Smiling can also become a habit that makes it easy for you to mask any moments you've been caught off guard. That's what an analyst should do. And for an assertive, it says that assertives should be particularly conscious of your tone. You will not intend to be overly harsh, but you will often come off that way. Intentionally soften your tone and work to make it more pleasant. Use calibrated questions and labels with your counterparts, since that will also make you more approachable and increase the chances for collaboration. Excuse me. So that's what I think. So Melissa, I think, is an assertive because she has no patience, and that's what I think. And I think the only reason why Melissa isn't like super assertive is because she has like a anxiety field around her that she feels like if she bumps up against it, then like she kind of reverts back to what she has been kind of conditioned to do. But I think her natural like if you were to remove all Melissa's anxiety, she's probably like pretty assertive. Like if I had to guess, because like she used to be a manager at Starbucks, so she was managing other people. Like I don't think most managers are like, you can't. It's hard to be a manager if you be chill. Like, man, just do whatever you want, man. Just fuck around.
But I wasn't a good manager.
What does that mean?
Because it's like, are you saying that to get to that position? Because I think that.
Not to get there. I think to do it.
But that's the thing. I didn't do it well.
Why do you think you didn't do it well?
I had problems all the time. I was crying every day. You remember this?
But what does that mean? But why do you think you didn't do it well? Was stuff not getting done, or where you didn't feel like the way what was happening? Like why you feel like you weren't doing it well?
It's kind of like what you said earlier, like how I guess if you were being an aggressive, like where it's like he'll try to get back at you in another way. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what I was experiencing.
He'll try to come back at you?
Yeah.
Right.
So because of that, things weren't getting done, but not because of me necessarily.
Sure. And like I said, this is how I interpret that. I think that you were being an assertive, but you didn't have the other side. So you would be assertive. They would what's the word, like attack back, and you were kind of just like, okay, like they would attack back by not doing things, which would then make you feel like, why are you not doing these things? But the thing may get done later after you guys had to talk about it a couple of times. But I feel like what they said there in the book was, what labeling would be like, okay, Charles, it seems like you're upset that you have to do the dishes as opposed to Monica, right? That's something you would say as an assertive, because instead of just making it about why you're not doing this thing, it's you're being more empathetic and understanding of it. So that's how you would use it in an assertive lifestyle that you have. Right. So there's that. And then I think, like I said, because you have the outer shell, I think that just kind of it makes it it's an imbalance. I feel like, because I feel like you accommodate more than you want because of the other thing.
Because I don't feel comfortable being super assertive.
Right. Like I feel like you want to, or you're like, yeah, that's what I think. And I also think,
I wonder if that's why I come off as passive aggressive.
Probably because you're assertive and you feel like, oh, word, all right, bitch, all right, motherfucker,
No.
I'm motherfucker. Watch, I'm gonna catch your ass slipping later when I don't wash these damn dishes. Watch that shit, right? Because like you're not yelling, but like I said, I think,
That's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're suppressing your primary state. So that's what I think about my beautiful, phenomenal, amazing girlfriend. What happened?
That is, I don't see myself as an aggressive person.
Watch, y'all gonna see the difference. When Melissa has money and she has her hair done and her nails done and she's working out and she's eating right, she's gonna be very different. She gonna be sitting on here with her legs up in the air like, the fuck are y'all talking about me for? The fuck is y'all? What? That's what she gonna be doing. She gonna be like, the fuck is y'all? What are y'all doing? That's gonna be Melissa. She gonna be like, listen. Do you think De'Ara's an assertive?
Not necessarily.
Really? That's interesting. Why do you not think that?
She seems like she just be chilling.
Wow. So again, that's what assertive says. You asked me if Neffy is an accommodator or an analyst, and I'm like,
analyst.
I'm like, Neffy? The one that be like, we're doing this, we're doing that. You think she's an analyst?
Bruh, I was like, yeah, I can see that because of how she plans things out.
Yes, that's second.
Right. That's the first thing I saw. I don't necessarily see her as aggressive. Necessarily.
It's not aggressive. It's assertive.
Oh, assertive. It's a different word.
Right.
Definitely is a different word. I feel like SpongeBob. You ever seen the episode where he put on the green assertive thing?
Vaguely. That kind of sounds a little bit familiar. Okay. So that is what happened this morning. Now, as far as the rest of the house goes, we did go out there on Friday. While we were there, we had a meeting with an agent at 4:00, and we got to the property like 2:30 or so. So we're in there, taking video, looking around, and the agent actually came to the property while we were there. So she really liked the property. Like, she was actually just going there because she lives down the block and she wanted to get some exterior pictures for the conversation to be able to have some preparation to have that talk. And it just so happened we were there. So we talked about an hour. She loved the house. She gave us some feedback of what she thinks we could do or shouldn't do. And it was very helpful. That's our first time, I think, actually talking to somebody other than maybe the friend of the family who went to the house that has a real estate background. So that was good. Now, so you don't know this yet, babe, but the other agent that was going to go there yesterday just texted me.
Sure.
Yes. And she said, I said, hi, Donovan. I went by and saw the house. Looks great so far. She said, use a more neutral floor on the next one. Brick wall and floating stairs are great. White kitchen and bathroom cabinets with light gray and white counters like the flooring you chose. Black faucet handles, door hardware would be an awesome to match the stairs. I wonder if you think the stairs are going to be iron. She said, how much are you trying to get for it? My biggest concern is the tight street. And she said, be careful because many homes I've had in that area get robbed of appliances. So put up a camera, even fake if you can. So, yeah. So what do you think about?
I think it's funny that she's the first person to say what she did about the flooring. But I can understand where she's coming from, because I did think that seeing the flooring in person, even though I liked it, I did feel like it wasn't fully coherent to me. Like, it didn't seem like if you look at our floors, it looks more of like a solid color, kind of. I don't think the flooring looks like a solid color.
Yeah. So with that, so that's where we are with that. Oh, this is what I'm gonna say. I'm wondering if she feels that way about the floor because she does more real estate than the other two, and she's going based off of what she sees the most and not what looks good.
Oh, okay, because that's my thing where it's I understand what you're saying, because it's like neutral is safe,
and probably more common,
right? As opposed to what the flooring that we have. I think that if somebody likes it, they'll really like it, but if they don't like it, they might not. They may really not like it,
right?
So I think that's why I said it. I don't think it's like a solid. I think it, because it kind of has a design to it. It looks like it's not. Yeah, it's not neutral.
Yeah. So
some parts of it look really light. Some look really dark. Some looks like the orangey. I thought it was gonna be more. Just.
We live and we learn. So, now let's see. Oh, so then this is something else that happened when we left there. As we walked out of the house, someone hit our car again. I'm like, bro, this is kind of crazy. Like, how often are we gonna get our car? Mind you, the car was parked, and he hit the car, and he knocked off the side view mirror, like the back of it. So he got out, we talked, and this is something else that I kind of found to be annoying. He was like, hell, here's my number, here's my name, everybody around here knows me. And then he kept kind of throwing in there like, yeah, man, you guys should put your side view mirrors in. That wouldn't happen if your side view mirrors weren't out. And I'm like, are you trying to say this is our fault? Like, and he kept saying stuff like that. And I'm just like, if you don't hit our car, it wouldn't it wouldn't be an accident. Like, if you are the one driving and hit our car, you should know how much space you have to get by before you hit our car, because other cars have drove by and nothing happened. And I know other cars on the block have the side mirror out, and he knocked theirs off. But he had said something that made me go into accommodator mode. He has said that he buys a lot of property. So immediately when he says that, I was like, I'm like, maybe I can make some money with this guy. I'm like, I should try and preserve this relationship because we could probably make some money down the line. I may never talk to that guy again in my life. But that, once I started reading the book, I'm like, okay, I start seeing this come up more often than not. Because I'm like, in my head, I want to do A, but then my response is B. And when I think about why my response is B, or my motivation for B is, it's usually because I'm preserving a relationship. That's normally what happens. And then when I finally do stop preserving a relationship, I usually just kind of go, well, I'm done. And that's usually that's the analyst part of me, which is why I would take a very long time to stop talking to somebody. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. Let's see if this works. Let's see if that works. Okay, this is not working. That's not working. Let's keep. Oh, this has been going on for this amount of time. I'm done. And I'm just finished. So, there's that. As far as raising money, we have some people that would help us out, so that's great. So shout out to Ariel. She said that she would help us by buying some of the cabinets, which could be $200, so that's great. So shout out to Tori, because he has a friend that may lend some money. He also has a family member that has a Home Depot card that may let us use that, and then we kind of pay him back from that. And then my aunt might help us out, and then Melissa's mom might help us out. So we're it seems like we're doing very well, and we can kind of get over this hump. With everybody helping us out, we still make about $37,000, which is good. At this point, I want the house to be done, and according to what I talked to my contractors today about, it seems like more things are coming up slightly. Nothing more expensive in terms of that, but just time. Some things are getting backlogged because of, just he's saying everybody's kind of backlogged. So I'm gonna try and see if I can find some of the materials that he doesn't have and use those or help with those. Okay, candle business. Okay, so it's a nice little update from that. We have been talking, and I obviously, me, I'm trying to go big, $100 million. How can I do that, right? And I was listening to Alex Hormozy. If I don't know, you have to check him out. Cool guy, cool content. And the problem I have right now with the candles is that we make $35 for the big candle if we sell one. That's gross. And $15 for the small ones. That's not it needs to be more money made off each sale. So I'm thinking, who would buy a large amount of candles? Well, like businesses would. So we are planning on pivoting, or not pivoting, but adding another stream of business customers. So more of a business to business relationship where we can sell to companies that use candles, because they'll make orders of hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars at one time. And that'd be better than us. Like when we go to a craft fair, we might sell 40 candles. That's a great day if we sell 40 candles. We're there for 8 hours. One store might buy 40 candles for 3 locations. Like they might buy 40 and put, 10 here, 10 here, 10 there, something like that. Or 15, whatever, 12, 12, 12, whatever. And I'm like, that's a lot more manageable for them because they have 3 stores. It's only $800. They'll be fine. One person in their house is not buying 40 candles. So we definitely want to start doing that. We also want to start pushing more of the online business. Anything you want to add to your candles?
Yeah, pushing more of the online. You said business to business. Yeah, looking for a social media intern.
Oh, facts. We are looking for an intern if y'all want to help out to help with the content for social media. Just because, listen, we wouldn't pay you now. It will be one of those, grow. It's like getting in on the ground floor of Facebook, like, or Uber, or like Apple. Like, would you want that? Okay, I would want that. So right now it's free. You might get a check for $100K next year or the year after that. Or, and then, down the line, you might make $1 million, but if you try and buy in and if you try to come in later, you got to compete with everybody. It's like, damn, now we like, we don't really know we rocking with you like that. So, that's one thing I'm thinking about. And then I learned this yesterday that the market cap for candles is like $7 billion. I thought it was way higher. And from what I saw, it said that the majority of the sales, which was private labels, does about $600 million in sales a year, which seems kind of low in terms of like the whole United States. The biggest everybody combined, all the private labels do $600 million. And the next person after that is SC Johnson, which owns Glade. And it's like, they do 100 million. I'm like, really? Like, I just always assumed that they would do way more. They would be sell more candles. And I'm like, how hard is it for us to get to $1 million in sales? I'm like, it's not that hard. I was talking to Tori about this the other day. If we do, $2,000 in every single state, how much money is that? Let me see. Is that 100,000? 2,000 times 50. It's $100,000, right? So if we can do 20,000 per state for the whole year, so if we can make $20,000 in one state for the whole entire year, or every state, that's $1 million. And that's not very hard, because if we're doing $1,000 a week now, a weekend now, that's 52 weeks. So technically, let's just say if I was doing these projections, right? You got 52 weeks times 1,000, right? You have $52,000. Now do that for every single state times 50. We had $2.6 million. And I'm like, we can do 20K. We could definitely do 30K in sales here in New York, just working like weekends. So I just think it's crazy that it's not that hard to get to that much money in the candle business. And I really think that we could blow up the candle business like really crazy. And it's also very funny because this is neither of our passions. It's something that Melissa likes candles and I like business, and we're like, all right, let's see where this goes. So I think that's all. I always find that kind of funny. We were like, yeah, man, how y'all get, man? Melissa was like, want to make some candles? I was like, no. And then so then she did it, and I was like, all right, let's go to this craft fair. And then we sold, and I was like, all right, let's keep doing this. And then we just kept doing it.
Yeah, the thing I find funny.
What do you find funny?
Is that, I think that, I think that.
It's 12:34, but go on. Say the words. Go ahead. Be assertive, Melissa. Be assertive. Be assertive.
I was gonna say, as unsupportive you are,
right?
You're very supportive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But it's like, but I mean that in terms. But I understand why you felt the way that you did about me making candles. Because honestly, I think that all the businesses that we do now, I definitely be like, we should do this. We should do that. We should do that. And then you be like, Melissa, and I think with the candles, it was like, Melissa, if you want to make candles, make candles. But pretty much it was like, it was up to me whether or not this thing works. And I think that it makes me feel very good that I didn't take what you said as a negative, but more so as it's on you. So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
And I appreciate your support.
Oh, of course, that's what I'm here for. Like she said, my whole thing always is, if you want to sell mops, I don't care, but decide to do the mop selling. Like, say you're gonna sell mops, okay, I got you. I'm gonna do the spreadsheets. I'm gonna help you sell whatever you need me to do. I could do that, but we doing the thing. Don't like, I'm all in and you're like, oh man, this shit is trash. I don't want to do this no more. I'm like,
I gotta clean the bathtubs.
I'm like, Melissa, I am here. Right. I'm like, we're here now. What do you mean you don't want to do this? Like, I'm like, you don't drag me out my bed all the way over here to do it. And you don't want to do this? No, now you're definitely doing this shit now. Now, what do you mean you're not doing it? That's how I be feeling. So I'm like, if you want to do it, do it. And I'm going to help to try and push as much as I can. All right. So now, episode playback. I think I was able to have better breath control this podcast as opposed to I can see you. Yes. I also tried to remove saying like in this podcast. I hope I did a good job. I won't know until I listen back to it. That is something that I want to work on, is removing like. This is not new, but it always is something new to work on. So that is it for episode playback. Now for today's topic, one of the things I want to touch on is let me know when you're ready. Okay. Squeaking around, squeaking. Make sure. Hey, Rock. I even see down there. One of the things that I wanted to touch on is a new concept that I have been internalizing over the last week or so. It comes in part from listening to a Graham Stephan podcast with Alex Hormozy, and they were talking about, there's a guy on there that's overweight, and they were talking about why he's overweight, right? And they were kind of trying to figure out why he said, I want to be skinny, but I'm not, and I don't know why. His whole thing was, I hate being hungry and things like that, right? And as I'm listening to it, I'm like, I know what his problem is. They asked him, like, what do you do when you go home? And I realized, like, his problem is his environment. Like, he's fat because of his environment. It's not what he's eating. It's not, of course it is what he's eating, but it starts with its environment first. They also boiled it down to being bored, and he eats when he's bored, not when he's hungry. So the reason I bring this up is because I have this idea or this theory now that the most important thing is a change of environment to get to where you want to get to. I remember before, maybe y'all remember this conversation, maybe y'all don't, but to Melissa and I, we had talked about what's more important to have first, money or information. Remember that conversation? Okay, Melissa, you remember what your...
Team money.
Okay, Melissa said team money. I was team information, right? Now, as I was in the shower today, I also realized that isn't even the right question to ask, because they're somewhat interchangeable. Because money is kind of for most people, is a reflection of what you know, and you get the money for what you know. So whether that be a skill, whether that be, usually it's a skill of how to do something, and people pay you. So money follows information. Now, an example of that would be, example of that would be this. This is how I realized it doesn't make any sense to compare money and information. Asking which one is more important is asking what's more valuable, a dollar bill or $1.37 yen, right? And I don't know the exact conversion rate, but it's the same amount. It doesn't matter if you say it in yen or in euros or in rubles. It's the same thing. So when it comes to money and information, what I realized is that both of those things are used to change your environment. And I think that is what actually makes you get to where you want to get to. Like that success or kind of person you want to be, or that I want to be, comes from me changing my environment. And another reason why I came to this theory is because I feel like I'm constantly trying to change something about myself. I'm trying to improve, I'm trying to get better. And I keep falling back into similar habits that I don't want to have. One of the things that showed this to me was deleting Instagram, right? So I don't have Instagram on my phone, on my main phone. I have it on my other phone, which I rarely check. And what I realized is that all I've pretty much done is replace Instagram with YouTube. And it had nothing to do with social media. I don't think I have a social media necessarily addiction. I think I'm just bored. I need something to do. And that is the most entertaining thing to do. And I don't think that my current environment is set up for me to work the way I want to work and to do the things I want to do. And I think that if I can change my environment, then the other things will fall into place properly. So an example of that would be moving here where we are now. My whole plan for moving to the studio was supposed to be almost similar to how the projects were created. If y'all don't know, projects originally were created, like project buildings were created because they were supposed to be a transition from people to go from, either being poor and then getting into their own place. But what happened was people decided to just stay there because it was being subsidized by the government. And people were like, well, I'm not going to leave. There's no reason to leave. So that's what this studio apartment was. It's more or less the projects. And the reason why I had to move here personally was I didn't feel like I could expand the way I wanted to at my mom's house. And the room was very small. The living room, there was people in it. People were in the bathroom, whether it be my mom, her boyfriend, my sister at certain times. It was just small. I was confined to my room, which had no space, which, I couldn't really store anything in there other than in my closet. That was it. I don't even think for a while I had a chair to really sit in. So I was like, okay, I need to move out just because I need to change my environment so that I can do more of what I want to do. So Melissa and I ended up moving here. Do you feel like you moved? Well, yeah. Why do you feel like you moved out? Is it for your environment change, or you want to be with, Mr. King Koa? You want to be, you want to get the Hawaiian King Koa on a regular.
For me, the main thing was location.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like living where I lived in Far Rockaway was debilitating for everything else that I had going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like transportation took up a good chunk of my day, and because the transportation, everything was far. Everything is at least an hour and a half away by public transportation because I don't have a car. I have to rely on the bus schedules and whatever is going on with that. And then let's say that I finish school early one day before I have work or something like that. It doesn't even make sense for me to go home. Like, it makes the most sense for me to just go from wherever I am now to the next place and then just kind of wait out until I start my shift, because it would take me 3-4 hours to get from my school to the house, then back to work or whatever the situation would be. Because I was planning for school, even though I wasn't there. I was still planning for it. So for moving here, the biggest thing for me was the proximity to everything. It's 30 minutes from my mom's house. It's 30 minutes from my job. It's 30 minutes from less than 30 minutes from the school that I wanted to attend. So it just made the most sense to me because, like I said, most of my day is being taken up of being on a bus or a train.
I just realized something. So number one, as y'all probably heard, it seems to me that it's an environment thing. Like where you were at here was easier for you to get to work, to get to school, to, either get to your mom's house too, because it's not far from here in terms of by the train and stuff. So as I'm listening to that though, here's what really stuck out to me. All right, this is like a mind blown. The reason why we both wanted to live here was so that we can make money, in your case, go to school and go to work. Right? I'm like, I can get on a train. I can be in the city in 20 minutes. I can start working in 20 minutes. So now that we don't work, this place is the wrong environment for us. And that's why it doesn't work anymore. Because what we need is not to go to the city for work. So none of this stuff works. Because if we were here, let's say we both going to work, we wouldn't really notice a lot of the mess. We wouldn't be in the house. We would be outside all the time. But because of where we are now, in terms of all of our businesses more or less in the house related, it's like this environment doesn't work for us. And the reason I'm bringing this up for people listening is because, and this is what, for me, this is why it really hit home for me. I'm always like, damn, why can't I stay on this specific task or this habit or whatever I'm trying to do, this goal? Something always distracts me. I get bored. I don't want to do it. I'm like, I feel lackadaisical. I'm like, what is going on that is causing me to not want to do it? And I have the information on how to do it. Like I have the information. Okay, tell yourself this, think this, act like this, try and write the things out. Just try and do different, and it works for 3 days, 4 days, couple days, and then it just stops working. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a reason why this is happening, and it's been for 3 years now, where I want to be a specific kind of person, but I'm fighting myself on that topic. And what I believe now is having this conversation and talking to Melissa and thinking about it is I'm fighting, my old self is fighting with my new self, or my old environment is fighting with my new environment. And I need to move from this environment to get to where I want to get to. And I also think that this is funny too, because when I was bike riding, I used to hang out with my friends playing basketball. And that environment did not help me to make more money at work. And no matter how much I know, it doesn't matter how much I know. You could be super rich. And let's say you have all the info in the world. If you stay in your apartment and you don't move, I don't think the information you have will override your natural instinct of wanting to be a person. So whether that be you in your house, there's food there, you want to eat the food. There is people there you want to hang out with. They come in your house, they come in your room, they make a noise, lights don't work. You're like, I can't do what I want to do here.
Because I'm kind of thinking about something different. Thinking about Jermaine. Because his thing is he wants to move out because he doesn't have enough space. And I think it's funny because a family member was on the phone with him. Was like, you don't need to move out. You just need to make more space in where you're currently living now. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. But I feel like the part that you said. So you said that you have the information. The conversation that we had before was information versus money, and I know you said that that's not the conversation anymore because they both go hand in hand. But it's kind of like now, this is where the money kicks in.
In terms of what? In
terms of like to be able to change your environment.
So here's the thing. This is what I thought about in the bathroom. People get information and money to change their environment. So whichever one you get, you're gonna do the same thing with it. If we became millionaires, we wouldn't stay here. If we had $1 million worth of information, we wouldn't stay here. We would implement it and move out, which is kind of what we're doing now. We didn't have the money, we had the information. So we're like, okay, let's try and flip a house. Let's try and get out of here. Jermaine has money, right? But it's like, he doesn't have the information to move out. So he wants to move out though. He's like, listen, I want to do certain things. I need to get to a space where I can do those things.
Right.
Where they have because now let's say you want to have a printing machine in his room, you can't put that shit in there. It's not gonna fit. You can put it in the living room. You can put it in the bathroom.
He came up with an idea.
Of what? I'll put it in the right, but now you gotta go to a different environment. You have to go to a different environment to do the thing you want to do, and it's not it's just something to me that it helped me to kind of soothe my mind where I'm like, okay, why don't I want to do these things? I can tell myself everything in the world when I'm laying in the bed. It's my body's like, yeah, I hear you, but I don't feel like doing that.
And then it's like it's such a and that's such a mind-boggling thing where you're right. The reason why we moved in here is not the reason. It doesn't fit for what we're doing now.
Right.
So now if we're like you said, if we're outside all day to come home, shower, maybe cook something and go to sleep, this is perfect. It's
right.
fine. You're not doing nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're inside all the time. So now I need a desk. Now I need a desk.
Mm-hmm.
Now we
need space. Right.
Need space.
Bigger TV now, could be in the house more often.
And then there's no separation.
Mm-hmm.
So the second that I feel like I feel kind of tired, it's not like, damn, do I want to get up and walk all the way into the other room to go to bed? Do I want to walk upstairs to go to bed? Or oh wait, the bed's right here. I'll just
roll over.
Right.
Get on my phone, on my laptop, and just start typing it out, and you fall asleep, and you're like, oh
yeah, that's it.
So I guess I think, and it really just helped me to see like, oh, okay, it's not. It helped me take more pressure off myself, and now the goal is more focused on getting to a different environment. And I was thinking about, I watched this documentary recently called Inventing Anna, and the whole show was pretty much about getting to the right people, getting in the right spaces, and she had information to some degree. She didn't really have money, but getting into those spaces got her money and got her more information to get into higher spaces. So that's, it's something that I'm really like, it's been hitting for me. But it's related to the country that is going to be a superpower that is not America. And the reason I say this is because they always say that you can tell who's in power by who you can't talk about. And if you really think about it, we could talk shit about any other country, any other person, no matter who it is, without really any repercussions. The minute that anybody talks about China, somebody's getting fired, somebody's losing their job, somebody's losing their livelihood, is over. And you get an apology tour. You could talk shit about Russia, Europe, Africa, Germany, Switzerland, any other one you could think of. Nobody bats an eye at talking about those places. But you talk about China, you're gonna get a phone call, right? So I always think it's funny too, because I don't think that America is either the superpower of the world. I think it's China. I think it's been like that for a while. I just think we have a very good hold on media, which in everybody, if they don't know, is technically still propaganda. And I always laugh at this because in history books, we would look at propaganda like, oh man, look at this image of this big fat guy holding all of this oil and squeezing everybody else out and being broke. That's no different than what you see in memes or what you see on Netflix. It's the same propaganda. It's in a different medium. It's just the same thing. It's not in newspapers no more because you don't read newspapers. You think they stop propaganda because newspapers don't no, they're still out there. And a lot of propaganda is going to be pro-America. It's not unlikely, but they don't want as much anti-America propaganda. They're going to try and push pro-America propaganda or anti-other people. And I think that with China, the fact that we owe them so much money is already an indicator that we are not a superpower. Like, how often is it that a person who owes somebody else money is in power? That's not how that works. If I gotta lend you money, I'm usually the one that has the leverage. You don't really have the leverage. So if China decided they wanted to stop doing business with us, it would cripple America. Like, I personally think we would be crippled. And then if that happened, and then they switched, if y'all don't know about this, if they switch the dollar as a reserve currency to whatever China uses, that means that all the dollars that people use right now would go through the roof in terms of, or actually, no, not me. They would actually be devalued. So there's different ways to look at it. I right now look at dollars as a exchange of energy for people. Other people say it's exchange of time. I say energy. Depending on how much energy you will have more money, which is why I think that the most profitable places have the most people, like China, America, India, and then it goes obviously how they use that energy. So like I said, pretty much I think that what's going to happen is the reserve currency will be China's currency. Nobody want to use a US dollar. And the same way that people go to other countries and go, damn, my dollar could buy 40 bagels, will be the same thing that happens here. Because our currency is so widely available, it's going to lose value. The only reason why it doesn't lose value right now is because we print it. It's ours. So we can just make more of it and just like, all right, let's keep printing it until somebody else goes, you know what? I want to use a different option. As soon as that new option comes in, that new option becomes more valuable than ours because there's less of it. It's a scarcity. And people go, that dollar, everybody has money. Everybody has dollar bills. It means absolutely nothing. And, you know, they have some Venezuela clips on YouTube people could watch if you care about inflation and things like that, and super inflation. Something else about China recently that I thought was interesting. There's a guy that we met at the craft fair, and he said that in China right now, if you have COVID, if your child has COVID, starting at 3 months, they will take your child from you and put them in quarantine. Isn't that crazy? They will come to your house and take your 3-month-old baby from you and just take it. And some people are having problems getting a child back. People are separating their parents from the child. It's asinine. Then I saw recently they're saying, now again, this all could be propaganda. I don't know. But I have read that if you have COVID, they will put you in quarantine and then kill your pets, which is a wild thing. It's crazy. It's insane. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave that at that. Next week, what I wanted to touch on was a convo that me and Melissa were having recently, which I think is very important, and I don't think a lot of women look at it like this. It's women should look at relationships like the workplace. So I'll explain all of that next week. We'll be back here next Tuesday. You can find all the behind the scenes content on our social medias. Mine is Donovan Gray, DONIVANGRAY, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Anita Byrne, ANETABURN. You know what it is. Hashtag Bamboo Project 2022. And with that being said, Bamboo Project out.